relaxes you and so beautiful. You know, I don't believe in luck, so we are all here in this community, in this place, on purpose. Luck had nothing to do with it. A lot of people say, oh, you're so lucky to live in San Clemente. Well, luck has nothing to do with it. I do not believe in luck. It's our intention. We intended to be here. We put it in our thoughts, and here we are in our beautiful community. So I'm so pleased to see everyone here this morning. And you know, during Dr. Heather's meditation this morning, something came to me that one of my mentors, one of my teachers, Dr. Tom Costa, used to say every single Sunday before he started his service was this, and you're going to repeat it after me. This is the day the law has made, and I rejoice in it. This is the day the law has made, and I rejoice in it. Ah, yes, it feels so good. My name is Judy Chapman. I'm the assistant minister here at the center, and I am just thrilled that you're here today because it's just going to be a spectacular service. So we start our service with the flames of faith, and it is a call to service. And we promote this ceremony to promote we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and the practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and the path of peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner, Joanne Leon lights the last candle. Let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. I invite you now to go within. And we go within so that we'll never go without knowing the truth. And the truth is, there is only one divine essence. There is only one awesome magnificence. There is only one first cause to all of creation. There is only one infinite intelligence and one unconditional love. And this one, which is everywhere present at all times, is God, is spirit, is vitality, is energy. It is the essence of who each one of us has within us. For we truly are the thoughts, the hands, the feet, the breath of God, individualized to express this beloved energy, this beloved kindness, compassion, and joy. We are here to express it, to be it. And so today I affirm and I decree that all is well, and that each one of us is here today on purpose. And that purpose is to connect, to love, and to be. Be love, be health, be compassion, be joy. So we listened this morning to Dr. Heather's message with our spiritual ears. We listen with an open heart and an open mind so that we can receive all the good that the universe has for us this morning. So I speak the truth, and this truth sets us free. As I place my word into law, I am grateful. Grateful for this teaching, grateful for this time together, grateful for the opportunity to grow and expand spiritually. And so my heart is full of gratitude and thanksgiving. And I place my word into this law, and I anchor it in love, in joy, and in peace. So please say with me, and so it is. Now we're going to do the declaration of principles and our affirmation, so please join me when it's on the screen. Ready? I believe in God, the one creative intelligence operating through the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon a law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. This perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it, and so it is. Wonderful. So let's speak out this affirmation today like you really mean it. Okay. I see the conditions in our world that are a call for prayer and action. Together in oneness, we join hands, hearts, and minds to co-create a more kind, loving, and abundant life for all. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Reverend Judy. And please welcome Chris Shelton.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm so happy to be here as always. And I just have to say, I hope you know how great this band is. Because I was just a teensy bit late this morning, and they had already rehearsed my song and were fine. So the song we have this morning, I hope you'll recognize it. It's kind of late 70s pop, possibly a little disco, but it's I heard it on the radio for the first time in a long time, and I went, oh, that's a church song. Never realized it. So here we go with Help Is On Its Way.
Then So, my talk title is Radical Inclusivity, and I'm dedicating this to one of our practitioners, Anita Baroldi, because she created a welcoming team. And those of you who are in the welcoming team are identifiable because you have scarves on. Well, some of you have scarves on anyway. And this welcoming team, the whole purpose of it was to be radically inclusive. Make people feel welcome no matter where they came from, what they're doing, what they did last night, or what they're doing tomorrow. It's something that I'm really grateful that we have here, and so grateful for Anita for initiating it in the first place. One of our long-time members is our administrator, Diane Hennessy. And what you may or may not know about Diane is she is an animal lover. So much so that she has baby skunks at home, which she feeds, and which she looks after, along with all of the birds that she feeds and everything, and they're baby skunks. And we watch them because they have a camera so that we can see what they're doing during the day when she's here. When we were in San Juan Capistrano, there were always doves that built a nest right above the entrance, and doves are very, very messy and not very good builders, and so the nest would always be kind of slipping off. She would tape it up. So, our landlord did not like that at all. So anyway, so what's coming next is a video that Diane sent to me, and it is so appropriate for this morning. So Mary, are you ready? That's all I'm going to say about it. Murmurations.
I've been a wildlife photographer for probably 30 years now, and I've filmed animal behaviour all over the world. But there is really nothing I've seen to match what happens here on Otmore, which is about 3 miles from my own back door. It just knocks you sideways. It is almost inexplicable, and tonight should be perfect.
Late in the afternoon, small groups of starlings begin their journey back to the reeds and marshes that sheltered them the night before.
Starlings are long-distance daily commuters. They'll travel up to 30 miles to get to their chosen roost. And they follow invisible aerial corridors, snaking through the countryside, avoiding the turbulence which is going to slow them down. They all come together to stay warm and safe in a large group.
As daylight wanes, small clusters become enormous flocks called murmurations, a name possibly derived from the sound made by 500,000 beating wings.
And you'll see them gathering in the air, up to 300,000 individuals, all in one flock. They're very intelligent birds, and they'll be checking out the roost site, making sure there's no predators around. Any raptors or foxes will be thoroughly specced out before they settle.
After completing their initial survey of the heath, the flocks gather for the final time, and like a massive organism, they flow gracefully through the twilight sky. If a hawk or falcon approaches, it is often confused and driven off by the sheer mass and movements of the flock.
through the lens, you just can't believe that they won't crash into each other. And then they twist and turn, come really close. The sky almost goes black with the density of the flock. Then you can hear this roaring noise in the air, and then suddenly they'll rain down like giant black hailstones. It is an astonishing thing to see as they take to the roost for the night. So, who decides whether to turn left or right? Or to form a giant sphere or a jumping line in the sky? Who sends a message that it's time to dive back into the reeds for the night? And how is it transmitted to 100,000 birds in an instant? Maybe we'll never have all the answers, and that's all right with me, because every time I come here on a winter evening, I still get the chills, and I'll still be amazed, and I'll walk home thinking, how wonderful is that?
Oftentimes, our inspiration comes from nature, where we see that in nature, this awe-inspiring example, these murmurations that we don't know how they communicate, but they don't bump into one another. At one point they said 500,000, then they said 300,000, but there were a whole bunch. There were too many for me to count. And it inspires me. So radical inclusivity for each other, for the starlings. Notice that the hawks were not included. Were not included. They were driven away by the whole nature of the murmuration. But there's something that we as human beings can choose. We can choose to be radically inclusive, which would mean including the hawks as well as the doves, the donkeys as well as the, what? Elephants, the donkeys as well as the elephants. I'm very excited. This is the first presidential election I get to vote in after being here for 25 years. So I'm probably one of the very few people that watched all 4 hours of the debates. And I was really glad I did. You know, way back when, after 9/11, they had UN debates, and then the media would report on it. I watched all of those debates too. And what was reported in the media was not what I saw in the debates. Same thing, same things. Like, I was really impressed with this one or this one. The media trashed those people. So I'm really glad that I watched the whole thing just for myself, because I have better knowledge firsthand for me than I would have if I'd just been watching the memes, just been saying, oh, that reporter or this reporter has this to say. Being radically inclusive does not mean that you turn off your intellect. It means you keep it on and you make choices. You make choices. And the choice is to see, this is for us, the choice is to see through God's eyes. To see the goodness everywhere, to see what connects us in love, how we are similar, not how we are unalike, how we are similar, and truly to create a world that works for everyone, whether it's here in America or wherever it is, whether it's here in San Clemente or here in this center, to create a world that works for everyone, which means making all points of view welcome and known. Bringing everybody together. There are a couple of things that I want to share with you. First of all, I'm back to reading Barking to the Choir by Gregory Boyle. And for those of you who don't remember, Gregory Boyle is a Jesuit priest who started the Marian Ministries, the Homeboys Ministries, which is it's an inspiring ministry because he has taken through his personal work and his love of these boys, mostly boys, men, and girls, and his trust for them and modeling for them what Jesus actually taught. The love that we have for one another, the trust for one another, and he's taken them off the streets. And the greatest triumph is to have two opposing gang members working together in the kitchen, you know, so that they've set aside their horrible, horrible differences. So I want to tell you a story of one of those because I think, for me, if we can get to the place where we understand where someone is coming from, and what I know is if someone is in pain, it often shows up as anger or as misbehavior. And often we're looking at victims of victims. In fact, all of us, if you think about it, are victims of victims. And so we start living from an awareness that now as adults, we can choose. We no longer have to be our past. We no longer have to make decisions based on our past ideals or our past experiences. So this is a story that comes from this Barking to the Choir. Gregory Boyle was invited to a conference. He thought it would be a regular where he was going to speak for an hour and he'd come and go. But no, he was invited for a workshop all day long, and so he assigned two of his homeboys to come with him, and they ended up being keynote speakers. It was 8 in the morning until 5 at night, and it was 600 social workers were gathered together. So one of his kids, and of course these are not real names, this kid he called Sergio, a Hispanic kid, and he got up and he said, well, you could say my mother and I never got along. When I was 6 years old, she told me that I should kill myself because I was too much of a burden. And the whole audience gasped. And then he said, it sounds way worse in Spanish. and they all laughed. And Gregory Boyle said he gave us whiplash the whole day because he would say something that was so painful, and then he'd follow it up with this natural laugh. So anyway, Sergio went on to say that his mother actually took him to the south end of the Baja Peninsula to an orphanage and told the people of the orphanage that she'd found this boy, and she left him there. And he had no way of getting out until 90 days later. She had finally confessed to her mother what she had done with this boy, and the grandmother, went to get him. Got him out, of course, he went home still with his mother. He said he was, every single day of his elementary school, he was beaten with objects that he could say and many that he couldn't describe. He became known as 3 T-shirt Sergio because the first T-shirt would go on and the blood would show through. The next T-shirt would go on and the blood would show through that one. The third T-shirt would cover up his wounds and the blood. And he's growing up in LA. People are saying to him, why are you wearing 3 T-shirts? It's 100 degrees out. And he said he wore those T-shirts long after he was no longer living with his mother. He wore 3 T-shirts to cover his wounds because he was ashamed. And then he said to these 600 social workers, If I'm not now I'm only wearing one t-shirt, because if I'm not willing to show you my wounds, how can I help you heal yours? Profound. Profound. And loving. And willing to be vulnerable and inclusive. So, one of the ways that we can grow as a community is to be that loving and inclusive here with each other. Telling each other the truth, showing each other the places that we've fallen down. Maybe the knee scrapes, if we can't get to the places where we were beaten, and hopefully I'm not speaking to people who were beaten every day of their school life, but if I am, then your wounds are not your pain. They were your pain, but they're not your shame. They're not your shame. So from this moment, take a nice deep breath. You're here to express the qualities of God, such as authenticity, love, truth, beauty, joy. And it's one of the things that I love about Gregory Boyle is he gets the joy of God. He understands what it is like to be held in the arms of the sacred and see the sacred everywhere. And he says, the thing about these kids is they make me laugh. And of course, he makes them laugh. He doesn't do church the way traditional Catholics do church. He stands down. He doesn't stand up in the balcony, whatever it's called, in the pulpit. He doesn't stand up there. He stands down with the people, and he interrupts his homily. If someone comes in and seems to need his attention, he interrupts. He talks to everyone that's there. Sometimes our desire to do good stops us from being the good that we are. So we're already good. We already are that thing that we're aiming for. It's who we are. Right now, you don't have to do anything to become that. You're it right now. Doesn't matter what you did, as I said earlier, last night, last week, tomorrow, doesn't matter. Right now, you're an expression of the Creator, one with the One. Those of you who read my blog will recognize this. I found something, and this is kind of for you, Lee, because I know some of you are here because you're philosophers and not necessarily religious scientists. And it's true, but I'm happy to have all of you for whatever reason. Some of you are just here for the goodies afterwards, and I'm glad of those too. This came from Friedrich Nietzsche, who is a German philosopher, and he died in 1900. But what he had to say is timeless. And this is what one little piece, and it came from the third essay on something. Okay, let me get to the actual quote. Let the young soul survey its own life with a view to the following question. What have you truly loved thus far? What has ever uplifted your soul that has dominated and delighted you at the same time? Assemble these revered objects in a row before you, and perhaps they will reveal a law by their nature and their order, the fundamental law of your very own self. Let me just read that part again. Assemble these revered objects, what you've loved, in a row before you, and perhaps they will reveal a law by their nature and their order, the fundamental law of your very own self. Compare these objects, see how they complement, enlarge, outdo, transfigure one another, how they form a ladder on whose steps you have been climbing up to yourself so far. Climbing up to yourself so far. For your true self does not lie buried deep within you, but rather rises immeasurably high above you, or at least above what you commonly take to be your I. I think it's a profound piece of writing. And what I see in it is exactly what we do in classes. We ask people when they're trying to get clear about what they want, what do you love? What have you loved thus far? What is it that brings you joy? What makes your heart sing? And what we know is the things that make our hearts sing, the things that bring us joy, we're passionate about, and that passion is creative. That passion is creative. The things that you love to do, the people you love to be with, the things that give you joy is part of who you really are. And I was thinking about this and thinking about how this idea of climbing a ladder to yourself. And really, I kind of like that, even though we know that the presence, the God source, whether we call it law or love, it's within us and everywhere else. It's not only within us, it's around us and through us and as us and for us. And this thing that is that God's nature is what brought us together. What brings us together as community, and it's what keeps us together as community. It is what beats our hearts and gives us joy. So radically inclusive means that we start seeing through God's eyes. Whoever we're seeing, whatever we're looking at. And we do our very, very best to appreciate and praise and love and to let go of the judgment. One of the saints that Gregory Boyle quotes says this, that awe, love, and mercy are the evidence of God's presence. And sometimes we forget about awe. And yet, it's the thing, if we think back to when we were children, and first something just fascinated us. Maybe it dominated and delighted us, as Nietzsche said. That thing that just captured our attention. And what thing is capturing your attention today? If it delights you and dominates you, then what I know, it's some quality of God. If it delights you and dominates you, it's bigger than you are. It's the thing itself. It's the presence and power that God is. So, radically inclusive. Radically inclusive. What that means is that I'm first asked, and you're first asked, to include every single part of yourself. Because just like Sergio, who got down to finally only wearing one t-shirt, if you're covering something up, or as the writer of today's guide in Creative or in Science of Mind magazine said, it's like you have a leather jacket on the inside. And you can choose wear leather or lace, but the lace will let in so much more and let out the greatness that you are. In our meditation this morning, we did the metta meditation, which is the ancient Buddhist meditation. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be well. And the idea in that meditation is to start with the I and then move to the you, and to include those sacred friends. The Dalai Lama said that the Chinese government is my sacred friend. Sacred friend meaning those friends that hurt you, dismayed you. The Chinese government abolished Tibetan Buddhism from China. So he could have been angry. But those of us that have met him or seen him or been in his lectures know this is a being filled with joy. He's pure joy. He's choosing joy. He's choosing joy. So this is your assignment this week, if you so choose to accept it, is to choose to see the people around you as being more than their bodies, more than their behaviors, more than even the words that they're saying. To see the greatness. And you can only see the greatness in them if you first of all see it in yourself. You are the face of God. You are the hands of God. Be radically inclusive with all the beings around you. And make this 4th of July the best one yet. And so it is. And now we're going to pray. This is what I know for certain. I know that there's only one life. I know that life is God's life. That life is whole, complete, and perfect. That perfect life is all power, all wisdom, all love, all knowingness, and it is everywhere present. And so I remind myself of the nature of this one that I believe in, that I feel, that I know, that is part of me, that is who I am, and consciously unifying with it. I speak my word in the first person for each one here. So simply being aware that this is the universal I am. I am grateful for my awareness of my freedom, for my awareness of the truth that is mine and the truth that is all other living beings, the wisdom that permeates me, the truth that is everywhere. I step forward this week in a greater way, loving myself so completely, so fully, being willing to uncover any of those rough edges or deep wounds, knowing that the power and presence of God within me is the healer of all things, visible and invisible, psychic or physical, the healer of all things. The healer of all things is right where I am. It is my true nature, the truth of me, the wholeness of me, the I am that I am. And in this holy moment of right now, I know that this one that is God in me is glorious, is the beauty and power and peace of that beautiful sunset, is the health and vitality and energy of divine mind, is the source of all supply, is my prosperity, and is that prosperity that continuously grows and expands. It is my awareness of each and every good thing, and I steadfastly look for the good and praise, praise, praise it. I give great thanks for all the good that is currently in my life, and I give great thanks for all the good that is coming into my life. I am radically inclusive of absolutely everyone and everything. I see my life, my world, my awareness is no longer clouded by judgment or separation, but in the deep, deep, profound awareness of unity, I am. And that is enough. And with that knowingness that I am, and I am, and I am, all is well, and all shall be well. I simply release this word to the action of law. I know it's already been done. And please help me anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. And now, Chris Shelton.
This is a beautiful song written by Horace Silver. It's one of my favorites.
There's a place that I know where the sycamores grow and daffodils have their fun, where the cares of the day seem to slowly fade away in the glow of the evening sun. Peace when the day is done. If I go there real late, let my mind meditate on everything I have done. If I search deep inside, let my conscience be my guide, and the answers are sure to come. Don't have to worry When you find peace of mind, leave your worries behind. Don't say that it can't be done. With a new point of view, life's true meaning comes to you, and the freedom you seek is won. Peace is for everyone. Peace is for everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. It's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings, so if the stewards would please come forward. we do this is we say our prosperity affirmation together. Then we take a few seconds of time just to be grateful for all the gifts that are ours, all the gifts that we've received, and all the gifts that we are giving. So please join me. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and it symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply. I'd like to acknowledge those of you who are in service today or have been in service this week. If that's you, please stand so we can give you a lot of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you do and all you have done. Your service makes the difference. Who are remaining standing are our practitioners trained in the art and science of affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. If you want to have a transformational experience, make an appointment with one of these people to get a mini taste of that today. Stop by the welcome table and maybe the tranquility room. I'm pretty sure the other part is,
No, I fixed it.
well, I
It's
think it
fixed.
needs to be
Well,
used.
Oh,
by,
for after church?
yeah,
Oh,
yes.
Well, then
So-
never mind.
So Joanne Leon, Dave Friedman, and Reverend Judy Chapman are our practitioners today. Stop by to see them. If you are here for the very first time, we have a gift for you, and all you need to do is raise your hand. Let us know that it's you, that you're here. Here we have it, right here. And right back here, too. Right behind. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're
Right here.
And then what we're going to do, we're going to acknowledge you by affirming you. So, for all of the congregation, please repeat after me. Welcome to our center.
Welcome to our center.
We know that you are a spiritual being.
We know that you are a spiritual being.
There's nothing to be fixed.
Nothing to be fixed.
There's nothing broken.
Nothing broken.
You're whole, complete, and perfect.
You're whole, complete, and perfect.
Just the way you are.
Just the way you are.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
And let's acknowledge our visitors in those visitor bags. There's a card, fill that out and take it to the bookstore and you'll receive another gift. And now we have some announcements.
Please initial each paragraph as you read it.
Know all persons by these presents that in consideration for the Kelly Corsino keynote concert, heretofore known as The Concert, CSLCV is rescinding its regular outstanding offer of Conscious Connection, heretofore known as That Noon Thing. In adherence to state law, there is no fee for the concert, though a love offering will be accepted. Childcare will be available with all of the standard caveats and disclaimers thereof.
Whereas Reverend Karen has a friend and classmate from CS Fullerton named Edward Najareen, and whereas this classmate is presenting a Wednesday Wisdom Talk entitled Islam on War and Peace, therefore you are hereby counseled and advised to attend, and CSLCV will be indemnified against any emotional distress you might suffer from missing this talk.
Next Sunday at noon, CSLCV, hereafter known as the Party of the First Part, will sub-license this facility to Hiroya Tsukamoto, hereafter known as the Party of the Second Part, for the purpose of the Party of the Second Part sharing his amazing gifts of music. Party of the Second Part agrees to provide entertainment including, but not limited to, music and storytelling, in consideration for a love offering. Party of the First Part agrees to provide childcare unless or until said minor child violates standard behavioral norms.
Listeners are hereby given ample and sufficient notice that on July 14th, Grace Avalon, who by her own admission in publishing a book entitled Thank God I'm Crazy, has established her bona fides on the topic of insanity and will be leading a workshop for the rest of us. Some level of insanity is recommended but not necessary for participation.
For benefit of the parties involved, please note that due to force majeure, Mary Brogdon is in breach of her agreement to lead a book study group based on the book Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, and will not be hosting a meeting tomorrow night. She will, however, make a full and conscious effort to mitigate the damages from this breach in the upcoming Monday nights. Newcomers are welcome to join as of July 8th, but will need to agree to hold Miss Brogdon harmless for this occurrence.
Starting on Tuesday, July 9th, Party of the First Part, CSLCV, grants to Party of the Whatever Part, Karen Allen, a 10-week limited subcontracting license to facilitate the accredited class Exploring the Roots of Science of Mind. This sub-license is limited to Tuesday the 9th and the subsequent 9 Tuesday evenings from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Time shall be of the essence in signing up for this class on the kiosk.
As noted in Exhibit A, we now invite Reverend Dr. Roger Julien to make an announcement about the class he will be teaching on July 18th.
Is this on? Oh, I guess it is on now. Well, my voice is pretty loud anyway. I'm Dr. Roger Julien, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm not sure if I can compete with these two. I'm not sure which part of the part I am. As many of you probably know from the bulletin, I'll be facilitating a Bible class entitled Bible Wisdom. And it'll be starting late in July, and the class will be, it's an accredited class, 8 weeks, and it'll be devoted to primarily the parables of Jesus. Those wonderful teaching stories that the master teacher gave to explain things like the kingdom of God, what compassion and love is from the divine standpoint, and so on. I'll also be bringing in a lot of other information about the Bible, about historical research that's coming out now, about so many of the wonderful ideas and about the language and the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible. We'll be using a couple of great books for textbooks in this class. One is called Learn to Live by Irvin Seal, which is a New Thought interpretation of the parables. And the other is Rescuing the Bible from Fundamentalism, which is by Bishop John Shelby Spong, which is really a groundbreaking book that talks about the Bible from a more progressive, call it liberal, whatever standpoint. So we'll be talking about some of these things in the class. It'll be an 8-week accredited class, and the only thing I would mention is that there's one little mistake that I want to correct. Because of some family complications, I have to push the beginning date of the class 1 week. So the class will begin on July 25th instead of July 18th. But you'll still get the full 8 weeks. I promise you'll be filled up, and I'm sure you'll be interested and find it fascinating as well as inspiring. So I'll be here after the service to answer any questions, and I look forward to seeing as many of you as want to take the class. Thank you.
All provisions heretofore stated shall continue in force after termination of this service, and any other clause required to give effect to the intention of the parties shall continue in effect and be binding upon the parties.
And now, let's welcome the heirs and successors to all of these agreements.